need everybody's attention. Thank you. Well, first of all, good morning. This is a really exciting day for GAMS. Sixth graders, this is your first experience with Make a Difference Day. Seventh and eighth grade, you've been through this for a year or 2 years. But it's truly a special day because Make a Difference Day is all about giving. It's all about service. It's all about helping others. And every year we kick off Make a Difference Day with a speaker. We always pick somebody who is the perfect example of what it means to give to others. This year, our speaker is one of our own. So what do I mean by that? This is someone who is near and dear to all of us. You may not know her story, some of you might. But shortly I'm going to call her to the stage and she's going to share her story with everyone. She is a true example of what it means to give. So I'd like to introduce Mrs. Kim Muller. Was that just for walking up the stairs? That's awesome. How do you change the world? One small act of kindness at a time. Good morning, and welcome to Make a Difference Day 2016. I'm honored to be chosen to speak to you this morning, and it's humbling that some are inspired by me. I'm a stage 4 metastatic breast cancer survivor, and I would like to dedicate this speech to all who are fighting cancer, those who care for someone who has cancer, and those who have lost someone to that disease. There is a point in everyone's life when we need to lean on friends, or even be carried. I know, I've been there. The opposite is also true. As neighbors, classmates, colleagues, teammates, and family, there are times when we can make a difference simply by being there. Maybe you think, I'm too young to help. I'm not smart enough to make a difference. I don't have a huge creative project idea. I'm here to tell you, you can make a difference. The other little details of your day aren't going to be a big deal in 2 weeks, but caring for someone will be a big deal every day. Don't ever be too busy for kindness. I would like to share my story with you. Some of you may know parts of this journey. Others may be clueless as to what I'm about to say. Not too long ago, I too was a middle schooler. I was a cheerleader. I played field hockey, softball, and the French horn. I know what you're thinking. Sweet uniforms, Mrs. Muller. Where can we get those? Well, you can't really afford them because they're priceless. I hope one day you're brave enough to share your middle school pictures with a crowd of 700. When I was a freshman in college, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. She battled for 21 years. My dad was diagnosed with a rare type of cancer and battled for 1 month. Both of my parents died of cancer in 2004, 12 years ago. Some of you have lost loved ones, and my heart goes out to you. My parents were role models to me. They did not complain. They always had events and outings to look forward to, and they always helped their neighbors. They babysat kids, gave out garden vegetables, made meals, visited the sick, wrote notes and cards to everyone, and shoveled driveways. When my mom was too sick to go outside, my dad would go out in the snow and stomp out a big heart that said, "I love you," or the number of years that they were married. Then Mom could see his artwork from the window without ever having to leave the warmth of their home. Do you think that made a difference in her day? You betcha. In the year 2001, I began teaching wellness at Greencastle High School, this building. It was the end of that school year, in May, that I was first diagnosed with breast cancer. My doctor called to tell me it was cancer, and my husband and I drove to her the next morning to work out a plan. Here's a quote I love. When something bad happens, you have 3 choices. You can let it define you, let it destroy you, or you can let it strengthen you. And I've chosen to let it strengthen me. And I gain more strength as I meet others who are battling. I had surgery, had my lymph nodes tested, and 2 rounds of chemotherapy lasting 6 months. My hair fell out, as it does with all breast cancer chemo. I told my high school classes what would happen, but they were still shocked when they saw me with no hair. Kids that were normally pretty rowdy suddenly got very quiet around me. I had 33 radiation treatments, had genetic testing done at Johns Hopkins, more surgery, medications, scans, blood work, MRIs, checkups, and participated in a clinical trial. I didn't miss much school at that time, but everyone was so understanding and wonderful to me. When you're going through chemo, sometimes you get so tired you feel like a truck ran over you. That hit me once while I was teaching at the high school that spring. I walked to the office to ask the woman in charge of substitutes if I could please get a sub for the rest of the day because I didn't think I would have the energy to finish the day. There were no subs available. Big surprise. So I walked back to the gym, dejected. No sooner had I sat down than Mrs. Shuey arrived, who was a principal in this building at that time. She said all would be taken care of. They would cover my classes, and did I need a ride home? It was like the Incredibles had come to save the day, and I just cried. Did that make a difference to me? It certainly did. I think I went on to sleep for 36 straight hours. To this day, when I see Mrs. Shuey, I see this. I continued to get checkups and take medications and felt very healthy until February of 2012, nearing my 10th cancerversary. That's a word for the anniversary of your cancer diagnosis. I had to leave GAMS in a wheelchair with so much hip pain, I couldn't take another step. The MRI revealed that I had, in fact, broken my hip, a stress fracture. The bone was weakened due to cancer throughout my hip and leg. It was devastating to hear that news again. You have cancer. My husband and I didn't have too much time to cry, as we had to quickly pack our bags and head to Geisinger, where I would have a total hip replacement performed by one of only 6 orthopedic oncologists in the state of PA. We learned that my breast cancer from 10 years ago had spread to my bones, lungs, and even a spot on my scalp. This is stage 4 metastatic breast cancer. There is no cure, but I can be treated. My mother went through similar conditions, so I had her to look to as an example. She always had a positive attitude as a cancer survivor. I would need to be out of school for about 3 months, but I was determined to come back before the end of the year. I went from being in a wheelchair to a walker to crutches and then a cane. Now let me tell you how GAMS made a difference in my recovery. My awesome wellness department drove 3 hours to visit me in the hospital. The nurses had to give me a bigger room for all of my visitors and flowers. Mr. Herman called before my surgery with words of encouragement. I was holding the phone and quiet for a long time, and my husband asked if he should take the phone and hang up. I said, no, Mr. Herman's still giving me words of encouragement. It made a huge difference to me, but if I could have broadcast his words throughout Geisinger Medical Center, I would have. Mr. Layton took care of our house and our dog Dexter when we were at Geisinger for days. Mr. Evie told all the wellness classes what was happening with me. And when I got home, Mrs. Barkdahl came to visit and washed my hair when I was too weak. Mrs. Power's homeroom sold pink bracelets that read, Mrs. Muller, Ultimate Fighter. Do you know how inspiring it is to see people still wearing them? My family, nurses, doctors, students, teachers, and administrators. My husband's brother and wife hopped into action by buying my older son a plane ticket home. He was a sophomore in college in Tennessee at that time. It seems even the nurses were in on the surprise as they took their good old time discharging me from the hospital. When I finally opened my eyes in the car on the way home, we were at Harrisburg Airport, picking him up, and I held his hand the rest of the way home. That absolutely made my day. Everyone should be so blessed to have an army of support. Besides my family, friends, church, neighbors who came and cleaned my house while I was hospitalized, I have a built-in network of 700 plus middle school students and staff. You may recognize these two who brought a meal in style. You sent me cards, gifts, flowers, balloons, meals, phone calls, gift cards. Does that make a difference or what? I still have all the cards people sent me and look through them now and then if I'm feeling down. One student drew a picture of me and cancer on a track, and I was beating cancer. Mind you, I couldn't walk at the time, but I was way ahead. I'm not going to be able to list everyone individually and the great difference they made, but I think you get the idea that the little things count, and absolutely everyone can make a difference. There's a teacher at GAMS going through breast cancer treatments right now. You may recognize her by her rockin' hairstyle and bright smile, Mrs. Wagner. Where are you, Mrs. Wagner? Could you stand so we can give you some props? Woo! I know she will agree with me that cancer is no fun, but others can make your day with conversations, cards, gifts, and hugs. Do you think for 1 minute that we would have smiles on our faces without our supporters? That's right. A couple of 8th graders when they were in 6th grade. You inspire me and you don't even know it. A group of students who call themselves the Secret Encouragers is at it once again this year. with posters and inspirational quotes all over school in the girls' locker room. Puts a smile on my face every time I see their sneaky little handiwork. I draw strength from a former student bravely going in for her 15th surgery. A current student whose home was destroyed by a fire and says, "Hey, it's okay. No one in our family was home or was injured during the fire." Kids offering to carry stuff for me. Students finishing the mile run only to run 1 or 2 more laps to encourage others to finish. People are leaning on you and you don't even realize it. And don't get me started on Miss Foos. Raise your hand if you had this teacher. Excellent. She's been living with cystic fibrosis for 35 years and just a few weeks ago had surgery to receive a double lung transplant. In her spare time, she advocates for organ donation, and she even came out to the track to support us for our relay laps last year. I love to see students and staff rocking her Team Foos shirts, and I know she appreciates all of your cards and well wishes. Don't let anyone or anything dull your sparkle, Miss Foos. My husband, Carl, has been my rock, my crazy glue, and my silly putty, depending on what I need at the time. He's been to every appointment, surgery, and scan with me, waits on me when I feel sick, and plans fun things when I feel great. He takes phone calls, schedules visitors, gets me awesome gifts. A few years ago, he got us tickets to a Florida Georgia Line concert. That's right, be jealous. This is when A, he does not like loud noise. B, he does not like crowds. And C, he does not like country music. I know, unbelievable, right? The point is, he was making my day, not his. Making a difference is not always convenient or doing things you love. It's about helping others and making their day. Once, I said, I could eat a popsicle. And he came home with 8 boxes. I hope you are all blessed to one day find someone who will be there for you no matter what, love you unconditionally, and make a positive difference in your life. He is legit, and he is here. I would love for you to give him a round of applause for the different people. It was a glorious day to be able to walk back into school that May and get so many high fives and smiles. I was ecstatic to be able to walk 1 lap at 3 different Relay for Life events in May. At the Greencastle Relay, the high school softball team used a Sam's Club amount of glitter for their encouraging posters, and my oncologist or cancer doctor and nurses even walked with me. We walked relay laps during wellness class and started writing down all the names of those we walked for. Those who have died, those who are fighting, and those who are cured. I just remember having to make this phone call. Mr. Kerfman, we're going to need more poster board. Excuse me for using a sports analogy, but I'm a wellness teacher, and that's what you get. You have probably had a coach or a wellness teacher say to you, if the ball comes to you, what will you do with it? Hopefully a lot of you are watching the World Series. We're talking baseball and softball. Any sport really. You're the shortstop, the batter's up, and you should be saying to yourself, what am I going to do if the ball comes to me? Will I throw it to first, second, third? Do I have to tag the runner? Is a double play possible? The same questions could be asked in field hockey, basketball, soccer, you name it. Just different situations. I want to tell you that in life, it's not if the ball comes to you, but when. And the ball will come to you several times a day. What will you do? When you come out of the lunch line and see someone sitting by themselves, will you walk on by? Or sit down and strike up a conversation? When someone drops all their books in the hallway, will you stand and laugh, or will you help pick them up? Maybe even have a laugh with the person. When your elderly neighbor is having trouble getting around, do you ignore them? Or stop and pull some weeds and help carry their groceries in? We never really know what's going on in someone's life. I may have surprised you this morning with my story. We don't wear signs that say, my grandma can't remember who I am. My dad is in jail. My mom lost her job. My sister has a drug problem. My brother was just diagnosed with cancer. My dog died last night. Be gentle with each other. If you learn that someone is going through tough times, do you walk away muttering, I don't know what to say? Or do you give a hug and say, I don't know what to say, but I'm here for you. I've got your back. The most powerful words in any language. 2 4-word phrases that mean so much. I'm here for you, and I've got your back. Does it get any better than that? The last time I made a speech here in front of the whole school, I called Mrs. Barkdahl up on stage and gave her a shirt that matches mine. I've got your back. Now the whole wellness department is sporting these shirts. Remember back when I was teaching at the high school? That year, Mrs. Barkdahl, who was not Mrs. Barkdahl at the time, was a senior. She now teaches beside me every day and has her own family, which is hard for me to believe. She has had my back, including helping me with this PowerPoint, and has been my friend for many years. She is the founder of Hats for Hope, creator of awesome relay shirts, and has a knack for Make a Difference Day projects every day of the year, including setting up a carnival for young students in our gym for today. Her most recent and perhaps biggest project to date is that she is a gestational carrier for a couple who cannot have a baby. Yes, that means Mrs. Barkdahl is pregnant, carrying a baby for someone who is not able to. Does that make a difference in that couple's lives? You bet. How awesome that we have such a sweet kangaroo in our building. Mrs. Barkdahl, would you stand so we can give you a round of applause? It doesn't cost anything to be kind. Remember when I lost my hair the first time I went through chemo? Both my sons, Josh and Jake, and my husband shaved their heads to show their support for me. We have a student here now who shaved his head when I was bald. Thank you, Brandon. They didn't have the right words or pay a great deal of money to make a difference, but I knew they had my back and that they were here for me, still are. I have a friend who drops to her knees, gives me a foot massage whenever she visits, no matter what time of day or how tired she is. And you know my feet don't smell like roses after teaching wellness all day long. Does she make a difference? Absolutely, and it doesn't cost a thing. You can make a difference simply by telling someone to have a nice day. Someone gave Mrs. Barkdahl and me flowers a few weeks ago, a random act of kindness. We still haven't solved the mystery, but what a sweet thing to do. And I'm betting the sender of those flowers is sitting in this auditorium. You'll all be questioned on the way out. Speaking of random acts of kindness, as my husband and I were finishing eating our lunch after one of my doctor appointments, the waitress put our bill on the table, but said it had already been paid. She said a woman stopped by, pointed to our table, and gave the waitress cash to take care of the bill. That made our day. And of course, we paid it forward to the waitress by leaving a huge tip. Who was the secret donor? We've racked our brains and have our guesses, but we may never know for sure. I don't know if you've noticed, but your teachers don't just come in, teach, and leave. We are departments, teams, and have neighboring rooms, but we are also friends who are there to build each other up, help out, share good news, and help when the going gets tough. We send cards and flowers to each other, in good times and bad. We walk and work out with each other. We have to, because we eat together, and we eat a lot together. If you ever get a whiff of delicious aromas coming out of the faculty room, it's probably a relay lunch day. And our staff not only prepares yummy food for each other, but also donates money to our relay team, about $1,000 a year, just by eating. Your GAM staff has volunteered at animal shelters, taken meals to homeless shelters, led mission trips, helped with Habitat for Humanity, and Mrs. Martin runs races while pushing wheelchairs and strollers for special needs children, a program called Kids in Motion. Each year, our staff donates prizes and gift cards to have a raffle to benefit our Relay for Life team, as well as walks laps at Relay in May. On my calculator this week, I added up the amount of money our Greencastle Blue Gold Cancer Crusaders team has raised the last 13 years that I have participated. The total was over $74,000. This past year, our team raised over $14,000. And you helped get us there by participating in events like our Hats for Hope and foul shooting contests. So thank you. I have a friend who joined the volunteer crew for the Komen Race for the Cure 3-day walk, 60 miles in 3 days, camping out in Washington, D.C. She raised thousands of dollars, helped with the course, refreshments, set up, tear down, and cheered on thousands of participants. Her mother is a breast cancer survivor. She claimed, "This is more magical than Disney." Oh, and did I mention, Emma was a 7th grader at the time. It's very difficult to get through a day without high points or good stuff happening. My family plays rose, bud, thorn at the dinner table. If Sydney's here, that's Mrs. Barnes' idea. Has anyone ever heard of that? Excellent. Since both of our sons are at college, it makes for a quiet dinner these days, but you can play it with 1 to 50 people. You take turns going around the table, telling your rose, best part of the day, thorn, low point of the day, and bud, what you're looking forward to tomorrow. My boys always started by saying, "My rose is this meal," just trying to get on my good side. Then they would list a test they did well on, that they could dunk for the first time, a special event at school, a long paper that was finally written, someone else wanted to hire them to mow with their lawn service, etc., etc. Most times, after you hear everyone's rose and bud, it's difficult to find a thorn. Today we have classes of students helping to make a difference in a variety of ways. Here's what you and your classmates are doing to make a difference. Working at the Environmental Center, bowling and skate-a-thons to benefit local families in need, and the Galactosemia Foundation, helping kids at the Franklin Learning Center, working with residents at Heritage Hills, hosting a carnival for young students, cleanup at the Gettysburg Military Park, sprucing up our schools and fields, volunteering at the Salvation Army, creating ornaments for our town's tree lighting ceremony, and helping at local food banks. Wow, what a list. But don't let it stop today. Making a difference is not a once and done event, or a special day we carve out once a year. Let this day be a springboard to bigger and better things. Make someone's day every day. Keep in touch with the senior citizens you work with today. Write to our soldiers overseas. Keep our school, courtyard, fields, and Tamanasaka looking great. Go mad. Make a difference. Be a friend to those in need. You will be making a difference, and you will feel better. My husband just asked me the other day, is all of this going with you to school? And I said, yes. He asked, the canned goods? Yes. The socks? Yes. The box tops? Yes. The ink cartridges? Yes. The coats? Yes. Everyone in the school is collecting to make a difference. Some of you already have huge hearts, but I'm reminded of the story, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. Once he realized that Christmas came to the people even without presents or feasts, the Grinch's heart grew, and he gave back everything he had stolen to celebrate with the community. Whether you are painting an 80-year-old woman's nails, reading to kids, or raking leaves, I think your hearts will grow at least 3 sizes today. Don't let anyone or anything dull your sparkle. None of us know how long we have on this earth. That's not meant to be depressing, that's meant to be inspiring. We shouldn't be content to be basic or below basic about living life, no pun intended, but we should be proficient or better yet advanced. Live each day to the fullest. Help your neighbor. Listen. Be there. Choose to be positive. Did you know that for every minute you're angry, you lose 60 seconds of happiness? Think about that. I could have said, I have advanced cancer with lots of doctors, appointments, and pain. I'll quit teaching and lay in bed. But instead, I rest when I need to, cry when I need to, take medicine when I need to, and ask students to tie my shoes when I can't reach them that day. I am so blessed to have family and friends to love and care for me, and a great school full of loving and talented kids and adults. So, the ball's in your court. It's here whether you're ready or not. What will you do? How will you make a difference to your team, your classmates, your teachers and staff, your neighbors, and your family? Go make someone's day and have fun. Thank you. Thank you to Mrs. Muller for being willing to tell her story and to be such an inspirational person. You may or may not have picked up on the fact that she pointed out how much everybody else has made a difference to her. But every day she makes a difference in the lives of all of us. Let's give her one more round of applause. Her words will ring true with each of us today. I hope that you go out into the community and you think about all of the ways that you help not only today, but moving forward in the GAMS community, in the community of Greencastle Antrim, in your family, and as you go out into the world, as you leave Greencastle maybe one day. And we can all make a difference. So I'm going to turn you back over to your teachers. You're going to return to the building,
and everybody has a schedule of when you're leaving and where your buses are lined up. So let's make it a great day today. Thank you.